I mean, I don't know. Maybe I should set up where the camera's supposed to be before the show starts. That would make sense. Should maybe do that. I'll try that out one of these days.
Well, you get a picture of something on there.
Well, yeah, I've got the pictures working. It's the angle. Paul keeps telling me to use all these different angles, so I do, and then I change them, but I don't. Light. It's the top of my head. So I'm gonna go right there. Have a thing there. Probably should have set up the tripod. Would have made sense. Keeps scooting over. I want it there. Put it there. Should be over here. And that's still not in frame. This is live. Let's see. Damn it, Paul. I'll just blame him. It's easier that way. You know, because he calls from, that's what I'll claim, that he calls from somewhere in Pennsylvania. Has all these ideas. Like, you got to get all the stuffed animals in the shot. You get Donald Duck to take my place and blah, blah, blah. So I try to appease him, and instead I screw around, and it all just looks terrible. All right, so this is the Warren Brothers Sports Show. 10 minutes in. It probably only says 2 there. You know what we got for you today? We got plenty of stuff for you today. Oh, there's so much going on in the world of sports. In fact, today has the most important hearing of our lifetimes. Our lifetime? Our lives' time. Yeah, that's correct. The impeachment hearings. No, that's not it. Myles Garrett. That's more important. He's meeting with James Thrash at some point today. It's the fella's name. I don't like this angle either. Just upset about everything. There's too much going on. It's all a bunch of stupid stuff. Everything's dumb. Just drop the camera again. That's fine. Do that. Move stuff around. Get a shot. That's just the top of my head again. Angle it downwards. Yeah, do that. There we go. I don't care about Donald Duck or Feifel going west or Feifel going south. A lot of head space there. That's okay. I'll live with it if you can. At least for today's episode. I'll adjust later. I could just fix that slightly. Better. Blue Jackets in your NHL hockey. They were victorious last night. 5-2 victory to improve to 8-4. I didn't even bother to write down who they played. I don't know. Somebody. Your Kent State Golden Flashes in college basketball. Yet another victory to improve to 4-0. They defeated Fort Wayne University, I think. Whatever they're called. Just be a bunch of guys in the city of Fort Wayne. Final score there was 75-68. Kalen Bennett, he didn't play last night. They only had a 9-man rotation. Only 9 dudes played for Kent State, mainly because they were playing from behind. They were trailing at halftime, and that's why you didn't see the kid, my favorite college basketball player Kalen Bennett play. The Ohio State Buckeyes 56-21 victory over Rutgers. Report a little bit about that. Not a whole lot to report. It was 35-7 at halftime. I mean, I'm not saying there are easy wins, but you played Rutgers. Rutgers, not a football powerhouse. Cleveland Cavaliers, they have not looked good, dropping 3 straight. Got beat up these last couple games they played against the Heat and the Sixers. They face the Heat again tonight, but unless they can do something pretty spectacular, I mean, these are just better basketball teams than they are. They showed grit, determination. Almost won a real hard-fought road game against the Sixers last week. But Sixers came out to play. I believe that was Sunday. Just crushed them. Crushed the Cleveland Cavaliers. In Major League Baseball, Major League, the movie is what I have some notes jotted down about because I watched it again last night. I've seen the thing like a couple hundred times. I'm a Clevelander. You watch the movies Major League and Major League 2. Happen to be on TV. It's better than reruns of Ed Sullivan. So that's what I watched. Oh, and of course the NFL. There are all sorts of things going on there. Myles Garrett's hearing is today. That news will probably break at some point, and I won't be aware of it because I don't get notifications, as I don't bother. But Myles Garrett will meet with former NFL wide receiver James Thrash. He is the guy who will make the decision on whether Garrett Miles will play again this season. Mary Kay Cabot is still dumb, asking dumb questions, because I'm fairly certain she writes her articles before, people step up to the podium. And she's got to throw on one last paragraph or two at the end. I was even surprised by Mike Trevisano's take on the whole matter, because he kind of partially said something I said, but, well, I could get into that maybe, especially with Tomlin and Rudolph's comments right after the incident, and then on Monday as well. Pretty dumb comments there. Dumb. We live in a world of dumb, just stupidity. We are in the movie Idiocracy. That's where we're at. Also, of course, on the Browns subject, actual stats from the game, of which no one is really talked about, because apparently that's the part that doesn't matter. You actually won a damn football game. How about them tomatoes? Them apples. It happened. The Cleveland Browns defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers. The rivalry is back. And what better way to kick it off than fighting the other team's quarterback? I don't know. All of that and more. Well, actually, pretty much just all of that. Who knows whatever I'll ramble on about. If Paul calls from Philadelphia. He sent me a text message earlier saying he might not be able to call. Who knows? It's Paul. Better call Paul. Huh? No, it's Paul. It's of course there is the song in the television shows that is Saul, but then he converted to Christianity and he became Paul. Here at the Warren Brothers Traffic and Weather Center, traffic. You know what? When there's an ambulance and you see it and it's like 500 feet away, just stop. Why do you keep driving? So you just go another 100 feet? It's coming towards you. If you can't get over, just stop. What is wrong with you? Also, in the weather, it is currently 44 degrees outside, cloudy. You can expect a low of 36 degrees tonight. And after the sun goes down, it'll be dark. Hey, over here at the Old Brooklyn News Desk, apparently they're making a federal case out of a reality TV show star and a Ukrainian actor-comedian having a phone call. That's happening. This is the world in which we live. do a live read plug here. I'm plugging myself first. I'm going right for me. Patreon.com, Warren Brothers Broadcasting Network. You go to patreon.com in the search bar, type in Warren Brothers Broadcasting Network. Quality programming just like this atrocity here, the Warren Brothers Sports Show. But don't forget the Calm and the Storm. Episode 2 should be recorded this weekend. Anton and I will be getting that together. The Sunday Super Show Sausage Fest Spectacular Show. I think it was a pretty brief one this past weekend because of technical difficulties, but I rebooted the computer and it should be, back up to speed again. As you can tell, because you're watching and listening right now. Get that song going. There you go. Minimize that. Oh, love this song. Maybe one of my favorite songs of all time. Magnificent 11. Not to be confused with the Dirty Dozen or the Bashful Baker's Dozen. That's 13 people, and they're shy. Apathetic Afternoons, that should be coming soon. I got to line up guests for it. That's my fault. Don't forget Craptastic Shorts, maybe even a cooking show. All kind of depends on if Paul ever comes back from Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. I think Philadelphia was where he last was. Where in the world is Paul Warren? And of course, the TV show I can't wait to make, Man versus Booze. And for just $5 a month at patreon.com, the Warren Brothers Broadcasting Network, you can follow my daily Patreon-only blog, weekly, I don't know, whatever I feel like writing. There's a lot of them on there. You guys got to, sign up for it, and you can read them, and then I'll write some more. If you contribute, that makes you a producer. You can tell me what you want. You want Paul to stop jet-setting all over the world? We'll stop it. No, don't. I want to as it is. I'm just tired of these silly stories. Because, it's not keeping him off the streets. He's running wild out there. Wild parties in Philadelphia watching boxing matches or boxing games, like he called it. Went 20 rounds or something? I don't think that's right. I don't know. So you tell me what you want, we'll do it. Well, well within reason. For just a $4 or $5 a month subscription, that's it. That's all it takes. You're spending more than that on really dumb ones. Disney Plus is like $13 a month. What are you getting with that? You're watching reruns of Doug? What's wrong with you? Watch this stupid crap instead for less money. Patreon.com, Warren Brothers Broadcasting Network. So into sports, I'm sure, everybody wants to talk Blue Jackets. Hockey, no, we're not going to talk Kent State basketball. The shellacking the Ohio State Buckeyes put on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
You could start, instead of where in the world is, that famous guy that I was looking for. They had my first name.
Oh, that was a woman, but yeah.
Yeah. You can have where in the world is Colin Kaepernick today.
That's right. I didn't even write down the Colin Kaepernick notes. The dude gets a tryout set up for him that 25 NFL teams are going to attend. He changes venues at the last minute. For what? You know what? You know where in the world Colin Kaepernick is? He's at his mansion in California or Arizona, wherever it is he lives, swimming in a pile of money. The dude had like a $30 or $40 million settlement with the NFL. He never has to work another day in his life if he doesn't want to. Then Nike will just keep shoveling money into his home for him. They backed up the Brinks truck.
He's got another swimming pool full of Nike shoes.
If ever, you know what? That's the dude that deserves the Academy Award. He had so many people duped. I can't believe how many people are coming out now. It took until now to say, maybe he doesn't want to play football. Oh, I'm surprised. You mean in the 3 years time. And then because on top of it, what he wound up doing as his tryout was something he could have done at any point, at any time in the last 3 years. He didn't need NFL assistance. He didn't need NFL help. They set up the thing at the Atlanta Falcons training facility. I don't know how it was deciphered. He's got great lawyers. Of course, I think one of his parents was a lawyer, or both of his parents were lawyers, and or his white adoptive parents were lawyers. I don't know. I'm not a big Colin Kaepernick fan. I'm almost as black as that dude is. That's another reason why I don't really like him.
The thing that he brought up was a good thing to bring up.
Yeah.
Belittle the thing that he brought up. But the people that fell for it the most were these wonky white liberals that wanted to feel good about themselves because they were backing something. You know, I didn't see that much support for him in the African American community as I saw amongst white liberals that really wanted to jump on that bandwagon.
You know what? There was a point in there where enough black dudes who had played in the league started to get tired of it because he kept going on with this thing about, oh, I want to play in the league. And Michael Vick is the best example of it. I don't know exactly where he stands on the issue, but that's a dude who was, self-inflicted his problems. He never should have played another game in the NFL, but that guy was beyond remorseful for the things he did. He didn't fight the NFL on stuff. Somebody gave him a shot. And now, you know what? I'm not comparing kneeling during the national anthem to being a part of a dogfighting ring. What Michael Vick did landed him jail time, and deservedly so. And it ties in with the Myles Garrett thing. People are saying he should go to prison for this. No. I mean, that means Michael Strahan has to go to jail now. I mean, do you know, since Michael Strahan did the same exact thing, admitted to it on television, maybe the statute of the limitations is done. Maybe that's why he's got no concerns about saying that, hey, on a practice field, I swung my helmet at a guy and hit him. It's the we have to make a big deal out of things before we have all of the facts. I'm not going to go into the hearsay about Mason Rudolph being a jerk. I'm not going to go into hearsay about Colin Kaepernick being a jerk. Quite frankly, he actually, if he weren't greedy, he'd be a good person. I mean, but that's what it comes down to. He knows he's going to make a great deal of money. He has this whole time. He never has to work another day in his life. It'd be like if Martin Luther King Jr. would have done the same thing and about like 64, 65, he's like, no, I just signed a big shoe deal. Forget it. Good enough. I don't have any other dreams. They're accomplished. I live in a nice big damn house. I don't have to go all across the country to convince people that we're equals. So dumb. That's all Colin Kaepernick really is pretending to do. He's doing a really bad Martin Luther King Jr. impersonation. That's all it is. That's probably racist. I don't know. I'm so sick and tired of people constructing and creating narratives that aren't true. People taking on jobs that are pseudo kind of what they want to do, but they aren't what they're doing. Adam Schiff is a great example. That's a guy who I don't even know what his actual title is. I know he's a Democrat from California. He's a congressman. He's trying to be the next Speaker of the House after Nancy Pelosi, I would guess, retired. She died like 5 years ago. So there's that. It's just not like he's just a cadaver at this point. But that's a terrible thing to say about a person. Ultimately, though, is what is he? He's just making people remember his name. The same thing Donald Trump does. Same thing Adriana Cortez does. I always stumble through that. I couldn't pronounce that. There's Spanish people who hear that name and they're like, no, you made that up. That's based on something else. Like when you see the news bits, they always have to have like the fake news reporter at some point. And it's really good when it's like an Asian woman with a Spanish name. Or, it's always the weather lady and her name's like Hannah Storm or Hail Cloudy. They sound more like porn names than weather lady names.
If you want to discuss something that has actual racist overtones and undertones, this Myles Garrett versus Rudolph thing carries quite a few, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just about everybody who I've watched comment on it. I watched a pretty good Bill Burr video. He's a very good stand-up comedian, an intelligent guy. I don't agree with everything that he goes on about because, like he was raised Catholic, so he's got problems with the church. That's fine because that actually makes sense. But, so he was bringing up excellent points. He swears a little bit too much in his podcast, too. I don't need every other word to be the F word. But if you're, a guy from Boston, that's,
sounds funny with a Bostonian accent.
Fack. Pack the car in the fucking yard. Facky fuck. Yeah. And so it might not even be a swear word because there's an A in there. and an H. And so it's no longer a 4-letter word. Just about all Bostonians make 4-letter words, 6 letters. Shite. That's German. Well, anyway, so his takeaway was his parallel was better than any I've come up with so far. It goes to Mason Rudolph being the quarterback and these entitled quarterbacks and that they can do anything that they want. And just like the pretty chick at the bar, there's always that one really good looking chick at the bar and all these guys clamor over her all night long. They're all around her. It's all about her, but she starts these fights, these little infights. You're like, well, that guy bought me a more expensive drink. That guy's better looking than you are. And so then all these guys get all testosterone-y, and then she like really actually starts it probably by like smacking one of the guys or something. Then all these other guys are fighting each other, and so it's a big fight amongst all these other guys. I'm paraphrasing here because I don't want to steal exactly what Bill Burr said, but I do want to make the comment that he brought up a great point in that the quarterback is going to become unscathed. And he did about a 7-minute bit on it for his podcast, and he finally shut it down when he was like, "Oh, people are saying it's a race issue." Well, actually, yeah, it probably is a race issue. The white guy gets away unscathed. You see this black guy in trouble, and they're calling this black guy a thug. Yeah, it is kind of, you know what? I better stop it here before some 18-year-old comedian shuts me down. And, this snowflake ruins the rest of this podcast for today, but he makes a name for himself for one afternoon. And that was smart on Bill Burr's part because he's stuck having to play the game some. He's got like TV shows. He's on the talk circuits, all sorts of other stuff. Bill Burr can't say exactly anything he wants, but he says a lot of what he wants. And, But he knows when to stop it because he knows when other people start to say, "Oh, what are you doing there?" I mean, there's two that I love to spin on because I'm more middle of the road. Oh, someone's calling. I should answer this. Here, let me see. Answer. Hello, caller. You are on the air.
Hey, this is Paul.
Oh, hello, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm at Arnold's now.
I don't know what Arnold's is. Is that in Philadelphia or something?
No, I'm in Milwaukee now.
How did you get from Philadelphia?
First off, I want to tell you.
Huh?
Oh, here's what happened. There was a snowstorm.
How does a snowstorm cause you to get from Philadelphia to Milwaukee?
Well, the plane had to go to Milwaukee, so it was like they took a U-turn or something.
Now, because if I remember correctly, you were taking a plane from Philadelphia after the fight to come back home to Cleveland.
Right.
Now, I don't recall the weather being all too bad or anything, but because at some point bad weather diverted it to even further away than where you were intended to go?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. Sure.
But
So-
the flight, let me tell you something about the flight before I tell you about my flight.
Oh, yes, fight or flight. Yes.
Yeah, the flight was 4 hours long.
You
It
said,
was a good one.
yeah, and remember it was a boxing match, not a boxing game.
Yeah, boxing match.
Yeah. So it was a long boxing match that was really good.
Yes.
Did the Ukrainian guy murder the black
4 hour
dude?
match.
No, go ahead. What did you say?
It was a 4 hour match.
Yeah, you said that already. What about it being a 4-hour match? Who was the winner?
It was Creed.
So Creed was the winner.
Butt.
Yeah. Oh, he kicked his butt. But it was it a knockout or no?
It was not a knockout.
Right. How many rounds did it go?
I think 20 rounds.
Yeah, and I think 15 is the most that a boxing match can go. But they let him go a few extra because you were there or something. All right. Maybe you lost track at some
It was
point.
not a tie.
Before the beginning of every round, a scantily clad woman comes out with a big piece of paper that says what round it is. Maybe you were drinking or eating heavily.
Yeah.
That's fine. Maybe you lost track of how many rounds there were.
Uh,
In old bare knuckles boxing, they used to go.
Sonny, who was doing
Huh? You keep talking when I'm talking. What did you say?
It was Steve from Always Sunny who held up the sign.
Of course it was.
It's always sunny in
And one time she
Philadelphia,
held
right?
the sign topless.
What did the sign say, Paul?
Round 20.
Oh, okay. Sure. You know what? I don't really care at this point. It doesn't matter. We're not going to argue over how many rounds there were. So I'm just assuming that you know why they do an odd number of rounds normally is because that way they can decide which guy wins which round and then who the overall winner is. But apparently that doesn't happen here in this fantasy world, and that's fine. My point being then,
There was 21 rounds.
it doesn't matter. We can stick with it being 20 because you said 20 and your story says 20 on Facebook. Yeah, check out his story on Facebook. It doesn't change as much as when he's just lying on air here. So, Paul, the point being then is so the three judges, because that's normally what happens in a boxing match. One of them's Chuck Norris,
Yeah.
and so the three of them they decide that that Creed won at the end of the whole boxing game.
Yes.
Okay. Just voted. Two of them said, "Hey, I'm going with Creed," and the other guy's like, "Oh no, I wanted the Ukrainian." It was Yakov Smirnov or something.
It was Yakov Smirnov.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm saying random things. You don't have to put them into your story unless it actually was.
And Chuck Norris was there too.
Well, I just said that to say it off the cuff because I think they do that in the movie Dodgeball or something dumb. Uh-huh. So what's the point of this? So then because of your bad flight, because of what, inclement weather or a drunk pilot or something, you wound up in Milwaukee? How do you miss Cleveland by, 1,000 miles?
A couple hundred. Here's what happened.
Wait, I'm sorry. Well, how many did you say?
Couple hundred miles.
A couple hundred?
Yeah. Well,
You're the one who...
who.
Hang on a minute. You're the one who's good at maps. Hey, no, wait, real fast. I just want to make this statement. Is that there's no way Cleveland is only 200 miles away from Milwaukee.
Hold on a minute. Let me ask someone.
No, I'm not worried about it, Paul.
How far is Milwaukee to Cleveland? 200 miles? All right, well, I asked somebody. He didn't have a... Oh,
Paul, No, I can look it up. It doesn't matter. Just go on with your story about now you're in Milwaukee or some nonsense.
Yes. Because Rose, and guess who I had to sit with? Those aren't Paolo's guy.
I don't know who that is. I mean, you're telling me guy. What's the guy's name?
I think he goes by the name of Mike.
So some guy named Mike who, I don't know, he owns pillows. Is that it? Is he the My Pillow guy?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that guy. He's a nice dude. He sells pillows to people, but they're his pillow or something like that. So I don't know if he uses each one and then he ships it off to you. Like, hey, send me $20. I've slobbered on this pillow while I was sleeping.
They're called Those Aren't Paolo's.
Oh, those aren't pillows. Yeah, that's I've heard of that company.
Yes, and he sat next to me by the plane, and on the other side was some guy who kept saying, "There is something on the wing of the plane." And I said, "You're probably high as a kite like that."
Well, I should have figured you were closer to right. It's 436 miles driving from Milwaukee to Cleveland. Yeah. And that's more than a couple hundred, but it's far less than 1,000. Oh. Hey, so telling your story, are you going anywhere with this? What are you talking about?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, since I'm in Milwaukee, I'm going to take liberty of going to Green Bay because there's an open position for radio spots for classic rock.
So did you not get the job in Pittsburgh then, or Puxatawny or whatever it is?
Unfortunately, I haven't heard from them, so probably not.
Oh, okay. Well, keep on applying, out of state and not bother to just, I don't know, do the Warren Brothers sports show on which you are a Warren brother. But, good luck getting a gig, I don't know, at some radio station in Milwaukee. What's the name of the station?
I'm not sure yet.
Oh, well, all right. Sounds like you're doing research.
So,
all right, that's fine.
Crap.
You got anything else for me?
Guess who stopped?
What? Who's stopping where?
Stopped by at Arnold's.
And what is Arnold's? Is Arnold's is this another place where you eat? All you do is eat.
It is.
It is all you do is eat.
And, okay, fine. That's like that. Shut up.
I didn't say a word about you being fat, but you know what? I guess you always do call me around lunchtime, so it makes sense. Noon is the lunch hour.
But, ever heard of this guy named Ben Harper?
What are we doing here? Why Ben Harper? It was a dude we went to high school with. What does that matter? He lives in Cleveland. Why is he in Milwaukee?
I don't know. He probably has they probably got some good stuff there. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, we won't go into the drug stuff, but I didn't know they had legalized it in Wisconsin, and what that has to do with anything. It's really irrelevant right now. This is not a sports take in the least. This has nothing to do with why you're in Milwaukee. This is you saying that you're seeing this person there, which really has nothing to do with any of the timelines or anything else we've ever made up or done.
I will update this evening, tell you what happened.
Okay, and maybe I'll read it. So far, I've just glanced at other things because your storytelling is sometimes exceptional and other times I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Do I have to explain?
Well, you shouldn't right now. I mean, although you are on the radio, so like talking would make sense. I don't know. Don't feel obligated to. All I know is that what you said you'd hope to be home by Thanksgiving, which now thankfully is only a week away. That's what I'm thankful for. It's not Thanksgiving yet, so I won't give thanks for Paul, doing this stupid crap. But, supposedly he'll be home by Thanksgiving because he's doing like the worst variation of planes, trains, and automobiles ever. I mean, you keep just like Arnold's. Tell us what, because Arnold's is a restaurant in Milwaukee, right?
Right. And it was owned by a guy named Arnold.
Yeah.
And now his son owns it, and he's also known as the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting thing is he actually has an open hibachi.
Oh, just like sitting right in the middle of the place.
American and Chinese restaurant.
Hibachis are Japanese, Paul.
Well, so I said Japanese.
I thought you said Chinese.
Japanese, Chinese, American restaurant.
Ah, yes. Those are popping up all over the place anymore now. Come a dime a dozen. You get a sushi burger or, plankton taco, whatever.
Sushi.
I said sushi burger. Like, does that not work for you? Is that not funny?
Oh, no, it does.
That's fine. Their Canadian bacon is egg foo young patties.
I don't know, but they make a Wisconsin butter burger.
I don't care. That's also where the Loosey Goosey comes from, or the Juicy Lucy, or actually Juicy Lucy's a chick you don't want to talk to. She's filthy. Yeah. I mean, we were already crawling at a snail's pace before you called. Now we're just at a dead stop. I mean, is you come up with the stories? Tell the damn stories. Talk to me. Like the full thing. Don't yell at me. Okay, all right. You don't even have to print it out. It's just like you tell me one thing you're gonna say, and then you just like barely touch it. It's like because now I have to tell the story for you because you typed. Yeah, what happened?
After Philadelphia, I decided to stay for another week in Philadelphia so I can get a flight to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
However, I met this guy named Will in West Philadelphia. He said he was born and raised there, and then there was a couple guys who were up to no good who started making trouble in his neighborhood. He got into a little fight, and actually these were guys who were Steelers fans.
Steelers fans in Philadelphia?
Yes, they were Steelers fans in Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're always starting
trouble.
trouble.
I said about Steelers fans in Philadelphia. There weren't any. They called me stupid. I said something wrong, and then I got into the fight, and then Mai came by and said, "Hey, move the ante, you're not going down there." And that's when I met the Goldar Powell guy, because Mike's no Powell guy, because he had to sit next to me because there was no other room on the bus.
Wait, I thought you were on a plane.
So he was gonna. No, I had to get to the airport on the bus, and then that's when he saw me again. And the flight, there was a giant fog around the Great Lakes, and like I said, I couldn't eat my dinner because there was a lasagna that they kept cooking over and over again, and I just decided to just keep the wine because I just wanted to get some wine. But
are these things that happen on planes?
Our Powell's guy had a seafood salad. And obviously I told you about the guy who thought he saw gremlins. They sound like Shatner. But the worst thing about it was some Albanian woman with a humongous body odor that put her hair in my glass of wine. So I gave it to the guy who was saying there is something on the wing of the plane. And said, "Here, drink this." And he was a little bit better, but I don't know. But the stewardess was kind of cool. She talked jive.
All right, so that's Airplane, that episode of Psycho, lyrics from a Weird Al Yankovic. Twilight Zone. Yeah, sorry, Paul. Twilight Zone. Lyrics from a Weird Al Yankovic song and parts of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I don't know. Yeah, at least you're telling the story. That's the important part. Instead of just saying random lines.
Okay, so but here's what happened. I had to wind up taking a shower because I smelled like puke because there was this kid like sitting like across next to somebody who puked in a bag, and this guy who was Mr. Bean, and he splattered puke all over me.
Wait, you showered on the plane? I don't think there's showers on planes.
No. I had to, when we went to the hotel, I had a shower.
And this was after the emergency landing 2 states over from where you were supposed to land because a guy saw a thing on a plane or because you had vomit thrown on you? Why was there an emergency landing? Like, you left that part completely out.
Okay, one, there was a fog.
Okay, fog.
And
Really
two-
bad fog.
And two, that damn gremlin that William Shatner buddy saw. That guy.
Yeah, fine. That's so because there was something on the wing of the plane. And fog.
Yes.
All right. So they
And
flew
so
further.
That's why we wound up in Milwaukee.
Fine. That's fine.
And
I mean,
then
were
we're
they
in
flying
so
via?
we went to the hotel, and unfortunately, I had to share a room with the Mike Zolgar Pellos guy. And he used up most of the towels. At least I got the puke smell off me.
Well, good for you for getting the puke smell off of you.
Unfortunately, I had to re-shower because I found out Mike Zolgar Pellos guy sleeps without his clothes on, and he kissed me on the cheek, held my hand, and I said, Mike, where's your other hand? Between two pillows? Zolgar Pellos!
Hey, I have a question for you, Paul.
What?
At what point did you realize he sleeps in the nude?
When he was under the covers, and I saw him without his shirt on, and he was holding a blanket around his.
So hopefully the next
in that
morning,
area.
I would assume then after he's kissed your hand or your cheek or whatever, and you didn't sleep with a nude man, knowing he was nude. Mere fact that you two shared a bed, even. You know what? It's so is this about the end? Then can we just pick up from here? Never or tomorrow.
Yes, well, I'll talk to you more about it tomorrow. I apologize for the crazy random thoughts.
Why do you apologize for the only thing that you do?
Okay.
I don't mind the random thoughts. Just structure them together because you have this full-on story. You're able to post all this stuff on the Facebook, all of these other things. It's the only way we know that you're fine and safe, apparently, in Milwaukee now. But then you get on air and you start to tell it, and you're like, oh, so this guy Will and I'm at Arnold's. A fight happened, I guess. Pillows guy. His name's Mike. We need, this is where you do the substance so that we know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I mean, you're fine.
Came in.
What happened?
I'll
What?
tell you more about it later.
Oh, yeah, the Mork story. That's fine. Do that later. Uh-huh.
I don't know. I might talk to him.
Okay, I'll just assume that's him in the background. You know what? Get off the phone with me so you can go interview the alien.
Okay, fine.
That sounds
But,
good.
yeah. There might be a fight.
There's fights everywhere you go, and you're almost always involved somehow. All right, I'll talk to you later, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. That's my co-host Paul Warren there. Whatever the hell he was talking about. I have no idea. I have no clue at all. Something to do with some fight happened. He was supposed to go cover a fight in Philadelphia. Didn't pay attention to what happened. I guess wound up getting into a fight of his own. Got onto the wrong plane. Fell asleep in a bed with a naked guy. And then, I don't know, whatever the hell happened after that. Now there's Ben Harper and an alien. They're all going to fight at Arnold's, which I can only assume is a restaurant. I think he did eventually say that. The quality programming that this show is. This thing's like full. Makes me not even want to do it anymore. It's all just dumb. So dumb. I'm tired of all sports things. They're all morons. Over at the Warren Brothers Traffic and Weather Center, traffic is if you see an ambulance coming, move out of the way. Pull over to the side. Don't keep driving at the ambulance. It's the reason why their sirens are blaring. You can hear them, right? Turn down your crappy pop music. Pay attention when you're driving, morons. In the weather, it's 44 degrees and cloudy outside. You expect a low of 36 degrees. It might have happened already even too. We've been having our lows in the middle of the night. But like 4 a.m., that's the low for the day. You know one thing I can tell you for sure is that when the sun goes down, it's going to be dark outside. Huzzah! Way to go. In the news, there's a federal case going on, and it involves a reality television star and a Ukrainian actor-comedian. I mean, the dude who is the president of the Ukraine played the president of the Ukraine on a television show for 3 years before being elected the president of the Ukraine. It's whatever. Hey, if you ever get tired of this awful crap and you still want to watch something good on YouTube, go on over to Get Out and Play with Melody. That's right, something that's actually entertaining. And it's appropriate that I'm doing this while the song The Entertainer plays in the background. Because Melody's a little entertainer herself, and so is her sister Aria, and they entertain you. My niece, Melody Bacha, has an entertaining, and the song's The Entertainer. I should do this each time. Why am I not smart enough to figure that out? Here on the YouTube, Get Out and Play with Melody. If you have kids, maybe some nephews or nieces, a handful that you've abducted, I don't know, you're just babysitting. Maybe you enjoy being entertained yourself. You're here on the YouTube, punch in Get Out and Play with Melody. Now, I know, it's kid-friendly. It was made by an 8-year-old, so it's not like it's going to be like deep, thought-provoking, existential, over-the-top types of things. But she's a little freaking genius. I'm not saying that just because she's my 8-year-old niece. But man, it'll almost sadden you if you went to school to do this kind of stuff. You thought you were going to be a filmmaker, spent big money to go to NYU or Ohio University or one of those kinds of schools with good film programs. Maybe you just went to a local crappy one where they'll take any moron in, like me. But, here on the YouTube, head on over to Get Out and Play with Melody. She's an 8-year-old who is a better filmmaker than you. But it'll entertain you. So watch, like, subscribe, hit the notifications button, share, not the singer, that's chair, sure, CHER, SHARE, share, subscribe, get notifications, that's the bell. Do that here too, if you want, or don't do it, I really don't give a crap. I do like this song though. If anybody out there in listening land has any updates on the Myles Garrett thing, I don't even know. I never saw a time for the hearing. That's the thing that kind of aggravates me. I don't know if it's supposed to be in the morning. It's just Myles Garrett hearing. Myles Garrett has perfect hearing, and he's also got 20/20 vision. Hey! As of an hour ago, Mason Rudolph apologizes for his role in Brawl and says he holds no ill will toward Myles Garrett. Huh. Well, that's something. About time. Hey, yeah, set for Wednesday. We already know all this. 59 minutes ago, he left his appeal hearing, and a decision will come in the next 2 days. There you go. All right. That's kind of the way I want it, though. It's tough because, yeah, they've got a game coming up on Sunday against the Dolphins. Hey, don't forget, they still play football games. How about that? And I think a key component to that, though, is we know he's going to be out. He might not see the field again this season. I mean, be prepared for those things. They have to make an example of somebody, and who's it going to be? The guy who swung a helmet on Thursday night football with tens of millions of people watching. That just happens at a practice. Michael Strahan. No one cares. Not really. Who knows if there's even a story in New York media about it? I bet you the Post would have had something. Here's why I can't stand Mary Kay Cabot. They got the presser Monday. Ogunjobi is going on. He's got to have his appeal hearing. And his was the one game. And his was fair. He actually pushed Rudolph. It's funny. Rudolph winds up getting probably a hit that would have hurt more when his own lineman runs to fight Ogunjobi and runs into the side of Mason Rudolph's head near the temple, the place where if you do get hit, it'll kill you. He got bonked on the top of the head. You know how thick your skull is? How light an NFL helmet is? To do real damage. I mean, even if you hit somebody on the top of the head with a brick one time, it's not going to kill them. Unless they're, really weak, I suppose. She hit Mason Rudolph. Here's another thing about it, too. Myles Garrett, they're going on and on about what a big dude he is. 6'4", 275. Mason Rudolph is 6'5", 240. He's not a small man himself. Both guys are right around the same age, too. 23, 24 years old. Any other situation. Anywhere. Even any other sport. I mean, that's a good one, actually. How much does a baseball helmet weigh? And has a guy ever hit another dude with his baseball helmet? And what were the ramifications of that? But anyhow, Mary Kay Cabot, so it's the press conference. Freddie Kitchens is there at the podium. And he flat out says Myles Garrett never should have done it. You all watched the tape. You can come up with your own ideas, whatever you want. But we stand behind Myles Garrett. How often is this the case? It's your guy. That's your dude. You like the guy. He's on your team. Like whether we're all Americans, we're all Browns, whatever it is, the thing. Now you don't put it so that it's even the Indians. How much stuff did Albert Bell do wrong that we knew was wrong? How much of a suspension did he get for throwing a baseball at Hannah Storm? 0, I think, right? And so just ultimately, it's a guy that you eventually stop defending the actions, but the guy. Now, Albert Bell was a curmudgeon. Still is, probably admittedly so. That's why he lives in Arizona and doesn't talk to anybody. He'll go golfing on TV once in a while with guys from around here. That's the only time I ever see him. He's eating a steak, an enormous steak, and drinking a couple beers. That's Albert Bell. That's the life he gets to live because he had some good seasons in Major League Baseball. And then he blew his hip out. Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett writes poetry, studies dinosaurs, walks his dog while he's wearing women's cutoff shorts. That like Tom Selleck on Magnum PI is like, man, those shorts are not long enough. That's not even stylish for the 80s. Those are women's shorts you're wearing, Myles. You did not buy those in the men's section. In fact, you probably didn't even buy it in the boys section. Those are 3 sizes too small. We get it. You like walking your dog in women's shorts. And so Myles Garrett, and he's literally a good dude. You don't hear enough good stories about Myles Garrett. And so it's funny. It takes several days. You keep hearing more good stories. He's out there talking to homeless guys because, well, of course, Myles Garrett doesn't have anything else to do. He's not playing football anymore. And he's at the airport getting ready to board his flight, and he's just chopping it up with people and fans and all this stuff. And he was doing that stuff long before he ever hit a guy with a helmet. Even our own quarterback on our own team tried to run from cops. Myles Garrett has never been in a situation in his life where he'd have to run from cops. He doesn't go get drunk and try to fight people at taco stands or whatever nonsense it is, Baker. And even Mason Rudolph, whatever story. He was a bully in high school. And some of the stories actually sound really bad. I won't tell them. But you can research them yourself. Picking on handicapped kids. And you take everything with a grain of salt. Because, I don't believe that Tiger Woods or Bill Cosby had dozens of women. Angela Dickinson going on there. Hey, Bill Cosby touched me. BS. I don't give a crap. That's Angie Dickinson. You're only showing up to tell this story now because it'll give you 5 more seconds of fame. Now everybody's forgotten about you again, and you'll look like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. I'm in a mean mood today. I don't know why. All this Brown stuff is driving me nuts. All these people's stupid reactions. And Mary Kay Cabot. You talk about a man with a strong jaw. No, she's a woman. My goodness. She's got an impressive 5 o'clock shadow. She goes, asks the question earlier. She must have written. She's got her 2,000 word long articles. That's how she makes her money. She gets paid like $1 a word probably. And so she's got this article here on the Cleveland.coms and what have you. I'm a moron for constantly reading them. I don't know. If I posted on Twitter every 5 minutes with my article attached, I guess I'd get stuff read too. But the point being is that she goes, she's probably got 1,900 words written already, and she's still got to write one more paragraph that ties it all together, and it better be factually based instead of just hearsay and third hand and fourth hand and fifth hand information or stuff pasted and copied and pasted and dragged and dropped from other people's articles. And so she goes and she asks the question since Freddie Kitchens, goes and says, we stand behind Garrett, whatever happens, because he's on this team and he's our guy. So does that mean that despite what you said earlier, because it sounds like you're contradicting yourself, that if you, that you're condoning what Myles Garrett did? My goodness, really? Really? That's the question. And that's the question that has to be asked. Like people went and like, well, I get where she's coming from. Because we don't understand the obvious. And we have to have people ask obvious questions. It's why these impeachment hearings suck. Because it's been like 40 plus hours of garbage and nonsense and people asking the same damn questions over and over again. It's why pressers are stupid. I'm glad they're finally asking Freddie questions instead of just asking Baker all the time or Jarvis Landry. That literally would be like your teachers at your school going up to you. No, it wouldn't be your teachers. Nah, maybe it is. We'll do it that way. Your teachers going up to you as children, grade school children, and saying, hey, so what do your parents like? What do your parents do for a living? My daddy's a spaceman. Yeah. He's not really a spaceman. Your father's an alcoholic. Or whatever it is. I don't know. It's not a great parallel. There's something in there. If you're funnier than me, you can come up with it yourselves. But ultimately, it's literally like just going around to the children, the members of our press. They go around to the children, the players. They're barely around this stuff. They know it well enough, but they're not well versed in it. That's why Freddie Kitchens, quite frankly, even for the fact that the dude, it's where experience counts. Just being older. He's dealt with the stuff. Come ask me the questions. I'm a grown man. That famous press conference. That head coach is a good dude for doing what he did. Even if he's just 40. I think that's the thing that he yells. I'm 40. 40-year-old man. Don't go ask those guys. Ask me. And it was college. So those kids were really green about it. But at the end of the day, why is it such an important part of the job that football players talk to the media? It's an element of it, but now it's the most important thing. This is why all this crap happens and all these things are the way it is. All just to get sound bites, all just to get clickbait. It drives me nuts.
I got something to relate to this, son.
What is that, Dad?
Well, there's a recent controversy over a certain Christmas song that they had to rewrite.
Yeah.
Because the original lyrics implied something. Now, if that would have been explicit, it would have had some explicit language in it. One of it that
That's the rap remake.
I got her on the couch. It's cold outside. I hit her in the head. And that's pretty explicit, right?
Well, explicit would be flat out saying, I put something in your drink. Now you're going to touch my dink. You won't know it until you wake up with it in you.
But see, there's a lot more nuance and embellishment when something's implied, right? You can take it any direction you want to. See, that's why Mary Kay Cabot loves to deal in implicit knowledge. Oh, you imply then that you think it's okay what he did. No, he didn't say that.
Yeah, those words never left anybody's lips.
Came out of his mouth. He did not explicitly say that because he explicitly said at first what he did was wrong.
Yeah, well, that's why Freddie Kitchens' final answer is so good, is because he flat out says, no, don't put words in my mouth. I told you, I asked you if you watch the video, you come up to your own realizations, and what I said is that we back Myles regardless of whatever the decision is. Because, I mean, Myles Garrett isn't allowed on site. He can't go to the Cleveland Browns facility. Like, he's not allowed to talk to Freddie Kitchens. We have a president who's able to live tweet during impeachment hearings. Actually, it's probably not allowed to, but since there's no real rule against it. But since the NFL is so much into their rules, even when they don't get them exactly right, they make sure that they put certain ones in place. I mean, Myles Garrett is not allowed to talk to any of his teammates, or at least not any of the coaches or anything like that. I mean, he's stuck. He's on an island. And this is where it all becomes the legalities and the legal battles. And as someone who has been through the system, it would have been so much easier if I could have just sat down, even if lawyers were present, and had a conversation. Oh, that would have been so easy. But and what's worse now is because of the way we're able to do things and the things that are open, in whether it be sports or politics or TV shows and movies and all these other things, athletes and entertainers, is they can go and they can have interviews and they can have discussions, and it all goes nowhere. I'm Maya Rudolph, and I hold no ill will to Myles Garrett. Of course you shouldn't hold any ill will. It's half your fault.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is there's nothing wrong with having a slippery slope or having something start somewhere and have it escalate.
Right.
So when some things are implied, they have consequences. But you can't say it's the same thing as being explicit.
Well, right.
I mean, the sky is blue. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. No, it's actually blue. It's not another color. You might want to believe that's a different color, but it's actually blue.
Right.
And if we continue down a path where subjective thinking, a person's feelings in any given moment, and using an implicit arguments, to back all that up, anything can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
At any time. And that's why you got what you got.
Right. And you know what? And finally, Mason Rudolph is finally saying the right stuff. He didn't keep his composure, all these other things. Pretty decent article. All places USA Today. Huh? All right. So, and yeah, even the and they reference the one that I keep going back to. The suspension, which will cover at least 6 games, is the most severe punishment for a single on-the-field act in NFL history, eclipsing the 5-game suspension that Tennessee Titans lineman Albert Haynesworth received in 2006, where he stomped on a guy's bare head with his steel sharp cleats. A bunch of daggery little knives that gave a guy 30 stitches garnered 5 games. A guy bonking a guy with a 6-pound helmet, maybe 4-pound helmet, gets him 6 games. I don't know. And again, it's I guess it's why I'm glad I'm not a lawyer, and I don't, I'm not a judge, none of these other things. And that's all I have, because I don't know. Yeah, that one was written all the way on the 15th about how long he would be suspended for anyway. So that's not accurate. And who knows? It's all in the hands of James Thrash. He is a former NFL wide receiver. The more we have heard from former NFL players such as Terry Bradshaw, even Howie Long, the Fox News thing that happened, if not Fox News, but unfortunately the Fox Sports thing and the Fox News stuff, and all of these stations, I can't tell the difference between George Snuffleupagus' show on ABC and roundtable discussions that they have regarding sports on CBS on Sunday mornings. It looks like the same damn thing. Snuffleupagus, that's the most biased little bastard. What is he, 5'5"? Ugh. He's the kind of guy who'd be like Mason Rudolph, like, yeah, I'm gonna fight you, I'm coming at you. Just all you'd have to do is like hold that hand out. You keep him at bay.
You're shorter than all those girls in that certain flight.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? With the way Stephanopoulos strikes me, I don't think it was the young girls he was going to Fire Island to party with on the Lolita Express. That's just the opinion that I'm of. I figure he and damn it, I'm screwing up my own joke. Who's that jerk who was in that movie where he played the singer? Not Pollock, because that guy isn't even alleged in anything the last 3 years. Just not Spacek, Sasek, Plesac. Damn it, there's too many names in here. I can't. Spacey, Spisak. Yeah, Kevin Spacey. I bet you Snuffleupagus and Spacey were sitting in the same row, getting ready to go to the same section of the island with young men. Anyway, Adam Schiff was right there with them. Another pervert. All perverts. It's like it's part of it. You got to be a pervert to play. Bet you Nancy Pelosi's she's so mad she had to fire that other make that other woman resign. She's all like, I do the same. I want to do the same thing. Probably bred her to do it. Whatever that woman's name was, I'm forgetting it now. I don't even know if it's in my notes. She was a congresswoman from California. That one there, whatever her name was, doesn't matter. Sports. It's usually where I take a break anyway. So good enough time to find out what's happening in traffic and weather anyhow. And my traffic take is just like I run out for 5 minutes to just go pick up some supplies, cigarettes, and stop. I'm coming back around. We're here in old Brooklyn. It's the Henninger Road Studios here. I'm over by Broadview and Pearl. And so I stop. There's an ambulance coming. I see it's probably right around Crather and Pearl. Lights go on. He's barreling ahead. Not even 500 feet away. All these cars on my right. So we're going to keep going. We'll just go. Let's just go. Who cares if there's an emergency? I gotta hurry up and get to the fast food place to stuff my face with garbage. That Impossible Whopper won't be there forever. I mean, it's impossible. How does it even happen? I don't believe it. So that's your traffic update. In the weather, it's 44 degrees. It's cloudy. Tonight, you can expect a low of 36 degrees. I don't know. Maybe that was the low this morning. It didn't indicate it. One thing I can tell you for sure about tonight is that after the sun goes down, it's going to be dark outside. Hey, back over here at the old Brooklyn News Desk, because it's the same place. I mean, the weather one's right there. You got the Donald Duck thing that Paul was going on about. So that's there. Hey, in the in the news, there's a federal case getting made out of the fact that a reality television show star and a Ukrainian actor-comedian had a phone call. I mean, that is literally what it boils down to. You know that the Ukrainian prime minister, the reason why they say that the Ukrainian president has more power is that the Ukrainian president has to approve the selection of the Ukrainian prime minister. Well, that's kind of like if like you're Paul and you're on that damn flight that he's on and you have to choose between a seafood salad and a burnt lasagna, and it turns out that they're like, well, except we're out of the seafood salad. So there's your choice, you know. It's like voting in Cleveland for mayor. Hey, you vote for the incumbent Democratic running, or you vote for the other guy who's also a Democrat who's running that you've never heard of. You don't know who the hell that guy is. Just stick with the guy who might get your street plowed, within a week of the snow. It's all dumb. So dumb. So agitated. We'll play the song that fits my mood. That's this one. Because it's the metal. Yeah! And honestly, it wouldn't make sense to have the baseball take now while this song's on. We could actually legitimately talk football. Although the best thing to do right now is, since, given the time that it is, and we're already almost 2 hours into the damn show, we're well into the second hour of the show, I need Paul to tighten it up. Like, even though it was only like a 15-minute phone call, it could have been 5 to 10. No, he gets the segment. Oh, it was because when he called. That's right. He called at 12:30 instead of 12:20. That's why it was a little belabored. It doesn't matter. Just so long as he sends me these long stories. He's got them posted on the Facebook. Find them. It's at the Warren Brothers Sports Show on Facebook. Well-written stuff for the most part. He gets on there and he's like, so there's a fight. I'm at Arnold's. What is Arnold's? You got to tell us, because this is different than just go to Facebook and read it, I guess. So when he's on air and he tells you nothing of substance, who cares? Hey, Dave Hughes, he's the owner-operator of This Guy's Painting. You can reach him at 440-715-3282, or they're on that Facebook thing I was just talking about. This Guy's Painting. Message him directly on the Facebook. This Guy's Painting is a small local painting company that will do interior and exterior work. Try to get it done before the weather really gets bad. He offers reasonable prices, and they are insured. How about that? Mention you heard it here from Mark Warren and receive a free estimate. Estimate. Expect a quality job done by This Guy's Painting, owned and operated by Dave Hughes. You can reach him at 440-715-3282. That phone number again is 440-715-3282, or on the Facebook, This Guy's Painting. Don't forget, you receive a free estimate. You receive a free estimate. Whatever, it's a word. Just mention that you heard it here on the Warren Brothers Sports Show, or on the Warren Brothers Broadcasting Network, or from Mark Warren, or from Paul Warren, or from, I don't know. I don't have any other Warrens for you. Say you heard it from Elizabeth Warren. Dave will be like, oh, how'd you hear from her? She's no relation of Mark, but you said the word Warren. Keyword Warren. Just type Warren into the Facebook when you're on this guy's paintings Facebook page. Tell him you want your free estimate. Maybe I'll just do the Major League movie thing tomorrow. It's a lot that I want to talk about regarding that. I think it's good stuff. At least that's what I'm of the opinion of. Nobody's in the chat. You guys give up on the chat? I have to start texting people directly to remind them that I do this. I'm only 18 episodes in. I would have given up that easily. I'm not one to give up on things. Once I start doing a thing, I'm going to do it. Just around, about get around to doing it. Or I just get really aggravated and I quit because it drives me nuts. That can happen. Every single relationship would have lasted 4 to 6 years if I didn't keep just screwing stuff up. I blame the other person, actually, in each one of them. I mean, I did get cheated on and left. I got left, married somebody else, and whatever the hell's going on with the last one. So anyway, let's see. I think I covered enough of it with the Mary Kay Cabot thing, and I don't know how much more I can get into the Maya Rudolph thing, seeing as he's changed his tune. He went from saying Thursday night that it was Bush League and cowardly. Bush League and cowardly to saying, well, I played a part in it too. I'm partially wrong. I have no ill feelings. Garrett's a great player, blah, 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 blah. The best thing that Myles Garrett has at his disposal is the fact that you cannot indefinitely suspend a player for any on-the-field actions. I mean, use their own legalities against them. It's legal writing. It's why you got lawyers. It's unfortunate. I'm not a fan of it. But you can't have the all-powerful and mighty Roger Goodell, who literally is if Donald Trump and Adam Schiff had an ugly bastard child. Roger Goodell acts like he's the president / Schiff pretending he's the prime minister, already speaker of the House, whatever nonsense he's doing, king of the inquiry. Roger Goodell has put him. This is where, as Thrash is a former player and a lot of other guys, they need to stand up and rally against the dude who has way too much power. That's what it is. Roger Goodell has been given too much power. He's got the big damn paycheck. He walks around like he owns the place. It's a big deal because you play 4 games in England every year, or London, or Paris. Where the hell are they playing the damn games? And the stupid damn Mexico City game. All you're doing is David Stern stuff from 20 years ago in the NBA, making it a global game. Guess what? American football is only pseudo a global game. It'll never reach the levels that basketball, baseball, and of course soccer, and to some extent hockey. At best, you might be kind of like hockey, and not even then. Football, American football, is kind of a global game. Stop pushing some narrative that's only partially true, because that's what it comes down to. I mean, you want to be Roger Goodell. You're swinging a big hammer. You're going to show everybody who's boss. Indefinite suspension from what I saw. Myles Garrett, blah, blah, blah. He's the aggressor. Screw you, man. Tell the truth. You didn't watch the video. You didn't. If you watched the video, and I don't care what it comes down to. Yeah, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Let's say that same exact thing happened the same exact way, and it was Baker Mayfield throwing punches at it can't be T.J. Watt of the Steelers because that's a white dude and that parallel doesn't work. Gotta be black dudes. It does. I mean, that's just it at the end of the day. I'd be just as pissed at Baker Mayfield. That you don't go and tug at the guy's helmet. He tears yours off. You're kicking him while he's doing it. You go to punch him again. And then even after that, you try to hit him one more time. A third time? Like, seriously? I'm glad Rudolph's finally coming out and making apologies. Again, he's got to word it the way that he does. I have no ill will towards Myles Garrett. And honestly, yeah, Garrett apologized right away, and he's saying all the right things too. But for Roger Goodell to act like this is the worst thing that's ever happened on a football field, right away you can point to the Albert Hainsworth thing. And that is a worse thing. He could have murdered that guy. He gave him 30 stitches. I got 3 in my lip. I thought I was going to bleed to death. He was what, 19, 20 years old when that happened? I think I got 17 in my ankle because I kicked in a door, and it had a window pane around it, the fancy way it was French type door thing, and it would lock a particular way. You couldn't unlock it, but if you just tapped it with your foot, it would open up. I kicked a little too hard and was wearing flip-flops and missed. So that whole mixture of things got a pretty nice gash. Pretty bad. 17 stitches on my leg. My ankle. Whatever. That's not something that's going to kill you. It's not your head. And 30 stitches that have been stomped on by cleats they're sharper than glass. I say probably sharp. I don't know. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. At this point, it's in the hands of James Thrash. I am certain that he will make the proper decision because I trust the guy. And I forget if I got all thrown off in my music playing there. I usually play certain things at certain breaks at certain times, but that's all thrown off right now. So that's the phone's up a little better. I don't know. No, that's kind of weird. I'm not mute. Did I mute this one? Was I muted? Now am I muted? Are those both muted? I don't know. Hopefully you heard Paul's phone call. I'm starting to confuse myself on this one here. Huh. Was I? I mean, that's loud. I don't know. Anyway. So nobody's jumping in the chat. It's claiming that I have one listener. So if you've stuck around this whole time, thank you. If there's more than just the one of you, thank you. And then when I distribute it around all over the place, and it gives the false showing that I had 200. Mostly thanks to one that started out as a sports site. And even now it's not a dirty site, but it claims that it shows hot lady pics. It was called Cleveland Sports Fans when I joined it. But so I just posted there, and it ups my views like 200. So people think they're looking at hot chicks, like in bikinis. It's just a thing on Facebook. Facebook's basically become your grandfather's dirty calendar collection. I don't know. I think I've talked this whole football thing to death. The things to actual football related stuff. See, I'm becoming the thing that I hate. But here's why Mason Rudolph was such a little prick. 23 of 44, 224 yards, a touchdown, 4 interceptions. And let me double check this, because I didn't compile it all easily. And of course, there's the Paul call. Got it good in the statistical realm. And yet another reason why the fellow was so butthurt. 1, 2, 3, 4 sacks for the Browns. That doesn't have the hurries listed. I mean, just think about this. Myles Garrett technically didn't record a sack. That's right. No Myles Garrett in the sack column. 1 tackle. But man, was that dude all over Mason Rudolph. Go to an earlier part in the game where he's got Mason Rudolph wrapped up. And since the change in the rules, that's usually a sack so that the defensive player will let go and slide off or whatever the hell the actual rule is now, because you can't touch the quarterback. That's eventually going to be a thing. Watch, this is leading the way to that, where like if the quarterback, you can't rush them anymore. Like it's going to be flag football. You're going to see that. Maybe. Probably not, honestly. Like if you get to him, all you can do is like touch him, like on his fanny. Like it's flag football just for the quarterback. Everybody else can get tackled, and you can have head-to-head hits from Darius Randall, and you make guys bleed from their ears. Like worse things happened in that game. Like be the Steelers and be all hurt that the Browns played you really tough, because they did. Their defense was phenomenal. They shut down the running game. But if you're gonna be, Mason Rudolph and all upset because Garrett had you stopped in the second quarter, I believe it was, and you fling the ball away, and thankfully it floats off to nowhere. Could have been picked off on that one. You could have had 5 picks, but and he lets go of the ball. And there were other ones. There were a lot of those. He was able to just get rid of the ball just in time for it not to be a sack. Hurries or other such things is you get sacked 4 times. You get picked off 4 times. You're harassed all game because your offensive line, not a bad offensive line either, isn't protecting you this game. So, yeah, you're going to be pretty upset. Baker Mayfield's numbers were not out of this world. 17 of 32. It's okay. So it's all right. Completion percentage, 17 of 32. If I do the math real quick, it's like 54, 55%, something like that. It's also a unit of measurement. If you need a wrench, go grab me that 1732s. 1730 seconds, boy. Son. Yeah, Dad, I got it. Grab me the 1730 seconds wrench. Okay. 193 yards, so it didn't even eclipse 200 yards. And it's not like Nick Chubb's ran roughshod. Our defense was just that good. We really could have scored more. 21-7. I mean, it could have been 35, 42-7. 2 touchdown passes for Baker Mayfield, and Chubb 27 rushes for 92 yards. But this was something is, the defense, first of all. Schobert with 7 tackles and 2 picks. Burris with 4 tackles and a pick. Burnett had a pick. Thomas had a sack. Schobert had a sack. Burris, who had a pick and a sack. That's a D-back coming up big for you. And I think Burris is the dude that's hurt. I saw a shout out to that McDonald Robinson fella. He follows the Browns pretty well. He'll give you some insights. He's like the Arthur Kinney of the Browns. Like Arthur Kinney will tell you stuff about some minor league ball player you never heard of. Mac Robinson will tell you a thing, and it's like, who's that dude? Really? Oh, that's kind of cool. He's got like 4th string practice squad tackles, and he can tell you all about them, which is kind of neat because my father was in a band with a dude who played tackle for the Browns, a dude whose grandson did, and he's gone all around the league. So he's a guy I kind of follow sometimes. But he's been on like 4 different teams since he left the Browns, and that was just 2 years ago. It's tough being a reserve lineman in the NFL. You want to talk about not having job security. And Ogunjobi had the other sack. That was another one that I think they were questioning just how rough it was. But receiving, and this is what I find cool. 7 different guys had receptions. That's right, 7. Touchdown receptions made by Jarvis Landry. And I think this is the 3rd string tight end, Carlson. I think that's awesome. He's technically like your 4th string tight end because of the Ogun. Damn it, I'm never gonna get the tight end's name right. The Konichiwa, Larry. I think no, he's not Larry. But anyway, and Joku. If there are more consonants next to each other that don't normally belong next to each other, it throws me off. There's like a K in there randomly. NJ next to each other. That's tough. Don't care who you are. So, neat thing, Kareem Hunt led you in receptions. 6 receptions, 46 yards. He's doing the thing that you went out to get him to do. So that's excellent. Beckham had 4 and 60. So, I mean, if you were expecting Beckham to have over 100 yards receiving, I want to go back to like how many times I would get into debates with people and how constantly I was right. Jarvis Landry had 4 receptions. Of course, that one catch by Carlson. So spread it around a bit. Hodge had a catch. Unfortunately, one of your 17 pass completions by Baker Mayfield was to an offensive lineman because the ball got batted in the air and Teller caught it. Should have just knocked it down to the ground. But hey, then Baker only would have had 50% completion percentage. So way to help out, Teller. Anyway, so the stats don't lie. The Browns played a better game. The defense just crushed the Steelers' running attack, which I don't think you could call it a running attack because of how bad it was. I told you about Rudolph. He was just awful. Samuels ran 5 times for 26 yards. Connor ran 5 times for 10 yards. Edmonds ran 3 times for 11. The only guy who did run the ball well was Rudolph, twice for 15 yards. And so when you look at all that, they ran the ball only 15 times and they passed it 44. So, I mean, I complain sometimes about the Browns passing too much. 75-25 split there for the Steelers. 75% of the time they were passing the ball. They were closer to 73-27 maybe. You passed the ball 44 times and you ran it 16. I don't like it, man. I don't. Not a fan of that distribution, or lack thereof, I should say. Just going to play these last couple songs to let you know that we're getting close to the end here. We're going to head on into the last segment. Before I do that, I'm going to let everybody know that in the traffic, if you see an ambulance, stop. Just do it. It's what you're supposed to do. It's your first day driving. What's wrong with you? See an ambulance, stop. Pull off to the side of the road. Let the ambulance through. Flashing the lights. Are you blind? Can you not hear the siren? And then, of course, in the weather, it is 44 degrees and cloudy out right now. Whereas tonight, you can expect a low of 36 degrees. And most definitely that after the sun goes down, it's going to be dark. Back over here at the Old Brooklyn News Desk. In the news, there's a federal case being made out of a United States reality television show star and a Ukrainian actor/comedian having a perfect phone call. It was perfect. Apparently not. I don't know. Only thing I'm going to plug, this isn't really a commercial because, I don't really do one in the last segment anyhow. You're already on the YouTube. Here you are. You're here. You're watching this programming, I guess. Maybe you're not. Maybe you've given up by now. I'm sure you have. Especially with how much I rambled about the Browns-Steelers thing and Paul was going on about Milwaukee and he didn't know anything about boxing games. A boxing match. I went 20 rounds. Well, usually they do it like 15 because it's an odd number. Oh, then they did 21. All right. So, only thing I ask is you hit that like button, share, subscribe. You hit subscribe, that's awesome. I appreciate that a ton. But even more so, that notification bell, ding, and that way you know that I'm coming on the airs here, So do that if you want. If you don't, well, screw you. So I slightly skewed my music playing. This will take us into the last segment. Do. Show's almost over, and this is the song that you hear, letting you know that the show's almost over. So get on out of here. Since they're spelled differently, you can rhyme here and here, right? Oh well. Just to recap, Blue Jackets winners last night over who the hell knows? I don't. It was a 5-2 final score. and they have improved to 8-8-4. That's right. They're back to 500. And those 4 overtime losses are, I don't know, better than an actual loss, I guess, but not as good as a win. Used to just be called ties, but that doesn't happen in hockey anymore. So you still get a point for an overtime loss. Your Kent State Golden Flashes, college basketball, big fan of theirs. They have improved to 4-0, defeating Fort Wayne last night, 75-68. They were down at the half. Unfortunately, the young autistic man who was on their team, he did not get to play yesterday. He played a couple minutes in their victory on Saturday, which was a relatively closely contested battle. They won that ball game 84-80, and the kid got 2 minutes. But in this last one, he didn't get to play at all. They only had a 9-man rotation for it. And Kent State was down at the half. You're not going to see any freshman play very much, even in these close games. Ohio State football, 56-21 victors over Rutgers, who not known for their football program. They were up 35-7 at the half. I'm pretty sure that's when Fields came out of the game. It was right around halftime. He was 15 of 19, 305 pass yards. Threw for 4 touchdown passes, too. I didn't get to watch the game. It's on that stupid Big Ten network. So, I follow along best I can. There's ways that you can do that. Thank goodness it's the 21st century where each one of us gets to be Duck Dodgers or Duck Rogers or whatever the hell Daffy Duck's name was for the Buck Rogers thing that they did. And Dobbins, though, interesting thing, he only ran for 89 yards. I think he had something like 15 carries. His average came out to being relatively average for a J.K. Dobbins afternoon, but he did have 2 rushing touchdowns. Your Cleveland Cavaliers tonight face the Miami Heat in Miami. And Miami looks like a good team this year. Maybe I was wrong about Spoelstra. All those years ago, I kept going on about how the dude had no idea how he got to be a head coach in the league. Did not make sense in the NBA. Spoelstra did not look like he knew what he was doing. Way to fall ass backwards into the job. You get to have Dwayne Wade and then Bosh and LeBron come there, and Spoelstra has the easiest job in the world and wins 2 championships basically by default because I think Pat Riley was still running things down there. He isn't anymore, right? I don't know. All these big name guys. I think Riley's still down there. There's Magic Johnson quit in LA. If Phil Jackson hasn't quit legitimately in New York with the Knicks, it seems as though he quit quite some time ago. At least trying. I shouldn't say that, seeing as the Cavs just got demolished by the Knicks recently. But even with that said, the Cavaliers head on into Miami tonight. Yeah, after a bad loss to the Knicks. That was just on Monday. But Tristan Thompson looks to be out. And the guy even if it's just needing a day off, he's played every single game. He's starting. He's got more minutes than probably at any other time in his career. You can't have the focal point of your team being Tristan Thompson. The Knicks shut down your offense because they double-teamed Tristan Thompson. Is that where you're at right now? Kevin Love is listed as probable. So that's probably good. And then Larry Nance Jr. is questionable. So questioning whether he'll play or not. Nance Jr. is a guy I like a lot. Really good player. Young guy. Love is sort of the dude that you need to keep this team together. So any injury bug that he could be dealing with, we got to make sure we avoid that. It's the reason why he only won about 20 games last year. He just finished 19-63, whatever it was. It's because Love didn't play. Thompson didn't play. You need both those guys out there as much as you can. As good as some of these young dudes are, like Sexton and Garland, finally got a true point guard, it looks like. Porter Jr., Clarkson. They're not ready to shoulder the burden that some of these pros are. I take a Channing Frye right now just to be on the team, I I won't really get into the movie Major League thing. I'll do that tomorrow because, like, okay, it's one of the better made sports movies because how often do you see things in sports movies that make absolutely no sense, like would never work in real life? And there are a couple of relatively silly things, the way Major League ends with the bunt. But once you've seen something like that happen in real life, because it's not very. I mean, we could point to like 2 Indians games that have happened since that movie came out, when Grissom scores on Vizquel's missed bunt, and before that, even when Lofton scores on a passed ball from second. It's like they stole that from the movie. That's just a passed ball and Randy Johnson not paying attention. The way it works in the movie is you just tweak it a little, and it's almost logical. I wouldn't do that with 2 outs. If there was 1 out, it's believable. Of course, you don't bring in your closer with 2 outs. He's just giving up a long fly ball out to face. Oh, maybe you do because it's the top of the order again. It's where I pick apart like way too much of the real nuanced baseball stuff. But that's what I want to get into, and I'm going to take more than 10 minutes to do it. And since we probably won't have a Garrett answer until Friday, and even though Dave and Paul call tomorrow, I can literally spend a good little chunk of time going on about my other thoughts in the movie, and how I can't stand our real life Cleveland Indians sports fans, because they actually do mirror the ones in the movie quite a bit, and they all probably think that Dolan is the woman who owns the team in the movie. With that being said, that's my little teaser there, and some of the mathematics in it, and some of the pitcher stuff. Like, I mean, seriously, even if it was just a 4-man rotation, each guy pitched about 40 games that year. In Charlie Sheen, and they're pitching like complete games almost all the time. Is there no bullpen? Still a 25-man roster, right? How many guys are it? My brother gave me a book that actually spells a lot of this stuff out, and it shows the great amount of detail that writer-director David S. Ward, it's not David Sword or David Sword, it's David S. The S stands for Sebastian or Steven or Sassafras, I don't know. It's his middle name. So David Ward, the writer and director of Major League, he goes into great detail making sure that he tries to be incredibly accurate for gameplay. And so he's writing the script based on how games should actually go. Did his studying. He's a smart dude, hardworking guy. But there's just some things where it's like, a little bit of a stretch. You know, Tribe's 60-60 with 42 games left. They lose one to the Yankees. So now there's 41 games left. They're sitting 9 back of whomever's in first place. I think he leaves that out. If he does, that's smart. Because if you are sitting at 60-61, you're 9 games out of first place, and your managers decide, well, hey, I figure we got to win. Lou Brown, we got to win about 32 games to make the playoffs. So that means you finish your season at 92-70. You go 32-9 the rest of the way. So if whomever it is in first place, let's say it's the Yankees because they're the team that they play in the 1-game playoff. If it's them, they went 23-19 in their last 42 games. Mind you, one of those was a win over you, the Indians. Big plot point. So they go 22-19 in their last 41 games. They had that major of a collapse. Well, no wonder you were able to beat them in the 1-game playoff. Maybe that is where it makes sense. I guess I kind of really covered most of what I was going to do. There's no need to make that deep of a dive. This was super well produced. They had all sorts of graphics. I did it on Filmora or some nonsense. Just do a whole thing. I bet there'd be like 10,000 people who watch that stupid nonsense. I'd do some video like that. And that's the thing that's stupid. It's probably just about one of the dumbest ideas I've come up with. There'd be a bunch of nerds out there who's like, yeah, that's a good point. Why is your bad knee having and catcher batting second in your lineup. I mean, it makes no sense. Like, seriously. The dude Taylor, played by Behringer, isn't that it? He's batting second in your lineup? Really? If it works. It's funny how much people do think that movie was made after good Indians teams were playing in the mid-90s, and they just think that's then because of timelines and all that stuff. And it's really from like the late 80s, early 90s. Bob Uecker's a drunk. Paul was going on about that when he visited Mr. Belvedere or some nonsense. I don't know. I don't get any of it. It doesn't make any damn sense to me. I got grocery shopping I got to do. Paul keeps cluttering this room up. He's got even more crap down there, even though he hasn't been here. Got like Drew Carey plush dolls for some reason. This is a thing. This is what Paul does. You're supposed to toss him? Oh, and then they talk. Well, that didn't work.
You gonna get back to football and all today, or you done with football?
I could wrap it up with some football. That was the primary thing we talked about. What do you got for me?
Who do you think was the meanest, nastiest defensive player of all time?
Well, I don't know. I never give it a most. There's a handful of dudes who are really high up there, and I forget if it was so far as defensive backs go. There was Blount, and he had a teammate, and these guys, like, literally, and it's funny. It's why I referenced the Bill Burr thing earlier. Was he referenced this guy? You literally catch a ball over the middle. I mean, a lot of these guys wind up having been on the Raiders or Steelers. This guy, he was a safety. He was like if Felix Wright was a hate-filled person. And so a receiver would catch the ball over the middle. This is the 60s or so. And he'd let you catch it, and then he'd clothesline you. Like, literally, his arm to your helmet, to the player's helmet. Mike Ditka's got to be way up there because he's probably one of the originators of being that tough of a dude in what is considered more the slightly modern game, if you will.
The guy I always thought of was the guy who played for both the Browns and the Raiders.
Yeah, Lyle Alzado's up there. He's probably the Raider in more recent times because they make a big deal out of the Broncos had a guy named Mecklenburger and the Raiders had Howie Long. And Howie Long was just as much mean as he was dirty, supposedly. Even back then, they said that he was a dirty player. But Lyle Alzado was the guy who was tougher than him. He played with both of those franchises and with the Browns in between. And he kind of made the name for himself as such a tough, maybe even mildly dirty, just angry guy. The Steelers had a couple. I mean, it's right in the guy's nickname, Mean Joe Green. But I actually think Jack Lambert was scarier. I mean, he's grinning at you with no teeth in his mouth. Like, he's missing all four of his front teeth. He's just scary, mean, angry Ohio guy playing for Pittsburgh. So he hated the fact that the Browns didn't draft him. I mean, that happened a handful of times. That's why that James Harrison jerk, whoever the heck he is. I wouldn't call him that to his face. He's just he still looks like he could kick anybody's ass, and he retired like 5 years ago.
Make the comparison of those individuals that you mentioned.
Yeah.
With the recent Browns-Steelers controversy.
And I think the last two guys that I want to say is that the Bears have had a history of having those kind of guys. Mike Singletary in the more recent memory, but then, yeah, Mike Ditka being like the originator of that kind of tough dude mentality kind of thing. And there's a couple others, Deacon Jones, another guy whose name I am forgetting right now, but, not Merlin Olsen, because I think he was the offensive lineman. There's a defensive lineman who would always get into scrapes with another old white dude guy. And to compare it to what happens now, I mean, I'll be honest. there was a stigma with the Browns was that they're not tough, they don't tackle, they don't play defense, all these other things. They're doing that this year. They are. It hasn't shown every single week. And even, we can make some of the Greg Williams comments that we make, because the guy literally, he was our defensive coordinator the last 2 seasons and was the interim head coach for a little bit of that time. I think he might have been our D coordinator for 3 years. I don't remember. But he was here. He did a damn fine job. And he always has everywhere he's ever been. When the Saints won a Super Bowl, it was because he shored up that defense as their coordinator. But that's also when he got fired and suspended from the NFL for a year for Bounty Gate. So, am I implying that maybe the Browns toughened up a little bit on defense because of guys like Greg Williams, and whether he still employs any of those tactics from before? I mean, I don't know. It's watch Jets games. That's the only way you can know for sure. Here's the point: is that this Browns team is tougher than a lot of the Browns teams we've seen in these last few years. We have a tough run game. Tough enough offensive linemen. Apparently, our defensive linemen and our secondary are far too tough. I mean, Randall's hit on the wide receiver was worse. I think it was Smith-Schuster too. Was worse than the hit that Myles Garrett laid on Maya Rudolph at any point. Worse than the near sack in the second quarter. Worse than the pseudo kind of sack in the fourth quarter that led to the bonk on the head with a helmet.
Well, here's why I bring this up.
Yes.
I heard the commentators, whether they be local or national, like that was the worst thing they'd ever seen.
Right.
They never saw anything that bad before it in their lives in football. They couldn't believe that somebody did this horrendous, horrible act.
Right.
And you're getting that with everything. It's the worst. Most corrupt, worst, most violent. Everything is worse now than ever before in the history of anything.
Yeah, everything has to be the worst or the best. It's one or the other. And here's the thing, and with that hit, and it's why I don't subscribe to knee-jerk reactions. Gave it 2 days. So many other people felt differently. They felt the way that I did after initially seeing it. Even after you did, and even after, like, Bill Burrs is a good example. He only saw replays, but he could tell from the replays even.
Let me go to what I find is the most damaging thing in the media. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's sports, entertainment, politics, anything, is that they can take a story, they can take a film, they can take a picture and make it say what they'd like it to say to get the reaction that they want.
That is correct. We see it.
And they become expert at it to the point where you have to wait at least 2 days and digest what you saw and what you heard before coming to a decision. And you're exactly right. Snap decisions are no longer valid. And that's actually dangerous, because there are times you should make gut reactions to things. And people have been desensitized to it to the point where they don't understand what they're even thinking or feeling anymore, because they've been manipulated so much by the media. Mary Kay Cabot et al.
Right.
She's a perfect example of it.
Yes.
And I can see that's why she upsets you so much.
Right, and because she's the mistress of spin. Oh, she just loves manipulation. It's what she has built her career upon, and she will just keep going for it and going for it until she can get the answer she wants. She'll still print the BS.
Well, the problem with that, what it shows me, is a lack of a journalistic integrity,
Precisely,
and a lot of laziness on their part.
And that was the word I was going to use.
They can get the most bang for their buck with the least amount of investment of their intellect or their craft.
For her to put out the amount of content that she does,
yeah,
I am not going to mince words. She's a plagiarist. She plagiarizes and then just tacks on a couple of her own little
Watch
things.
how much you attack her, she might find out and might get sued.
That for what? For slander or for telling the truth?
Well, it depends on how she wants to present it.
Well, and you know what?
Be careful, though, I'm trying to tell you.
That's fine. I'm just alleging that she appears to plagiarize, and then
so make it don't make it too direct, or you might get in
right.
trouble.
I'm indirectly implying that she might be a plagiarist, and then she can quote me on that if she wants to, even.
But I see too much of that going on in the media at every level, in every arena.
Right.
And I hope that what you learn is that journalistic integrity is a really high calling. It's almost religious in nature.
Well, yeah, and it's like the Hippocratic oath.
Yeah,
it's all
really,
of these things.
Really important, and I see it being so urinated on, for lack of a better word.
It's what's happening.
That is so diminished. You don't know what to believe anymore.
Right.
Go back to the Oriental flight guy.
I mean, yeah, there it is again. I mean, literally, as soon as something comes out, anybody can just make a claim. That's good enough. It's a source. We'll call it that. They say they are who they are. We won't check it. We'll just print it. Do it. Say it. Captain something Wong. We too low. Holy fook. Bang, dang, ouch. And that's just where I stand with it too. Let me play this song so we can get on out of here and move on to the next thing. Thank you, everybody, for watching, whomever did watch. I know there was at least one steady one in there for sure. Sometimes it says there's one, and it winds up there was 8. Or, people watch playback or replay and all that other stuff. So I appreciate each and every one of you, whomever did or didn't watch. I still like you anyway. Even if you are Mary Kay Cabot and you wasted some of your time watching this. I might not think you're a very good writer, but at least you know good entertainment when you see it, because you were watching me. You're dumb. Anyway, so this has been the Warren Brothers Sports Show. I would like to thank, of course, my brother, my co-host. Yeah, he gets a little on my nerves with his ramblings and everything else, but I just hope he's safe in Milwaukee. He's literally I think it's which direction?
Well, that would be northwest.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about where he really is in real life. It's it's 2 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
I literally could drive there right now and say, Paul, what's wrong with you? Making up this Milwaukee nonsense. I don't care. It's fine. I don't know. Boxing game. So yeah, I want to thank him for calling in. And of course, executive producer Dad, he helps out, comes up with some decent material there, stuff for me to talk about. Ultimately, I'll have more for you tomorrow, because that is the next show. Thursday's episode be coming at you. We probably won't have finalization in the Myles Garrett thing, but we will have Paul calling at some point, I'm sure, because he harasses me every day. It'd be better if he was here. Trust me, I feel that way. I'm sure you do as well. Also, Dave Hughes should be calling. That's when we go face first into the spread. But for Paul, for executive producer Dad, and for all of you who are watching and listening, thank you very much. I have been Mark Warren, and until next time, this time has been the most recent. Good day to you.